Hey guys, what's going on? It's Ultimus, and today I thought I would go over a couple things that I've learned over the past few days, just playing a lot of Overwatch. And I'm one of the weirdos that likes to explore the options menu. I like to see what my options are, obviously as far as graphics, sound, controls, and what other like kind of cool features and stuff that I can figure out that are actually in the game. And so for maybe for a couple of you guys who maybe haven't done so or have just been focused on playing the game, I thought I'd try to make this video as a little bit of a help for you guys for some stuff you might want to check out, turn on, if you have yet to, that will make your Overwatch experience a little bit better. This isn't anything game-breaking or groundbreaking, but things like this I think will overall, by implementing these things, you'll see a boost in your performance, I would imagine. Just over the past few matches that I've done myself, since using these settings and turning these things on, I've seen a little bit of improvement myself. If anything else, it just helps with team synergy, especially if you're just doing random matchmaking without friends or without voice and stuff like that. It gets a little dicey sometimes. So with these stuff checked out and stuff like that, you can take a look at. It will help that out just a little bit more. Alright, so for starters, nothing on the graphics page, but now you guys can see what wonderful settings I'm using as I'm playing Overwatch. This one seems a bit silly, but I will just throw this out there anyways. Overwatch is one of those games where you can tell a lot about what's going on in the match based on just what sounds are going on. Footsteps, ultimates tend to be loud and obnoxious when they're coming from other, from the enemy team, stuff like that. Hearing gunshots and etc. etc. And so the music, while it is very, very good in Overwatch, may not be the best thing to have all the way up. In general, I keep my sound settings fairly low, more or less in game anyways. But then as you can see, my music volume is turned down a little bit more, and I've actually will probably turn it down even farther. Generally, I try to keep my music about 50%, sometimes even lower, and you can even turn it off all the way if you really want. But the real big one you want to pay attention to is sound effects, and then potentially even in-game voice volume, because you'll find a lot of team members will use the in-game voice client to communicate with the team, and so those are the two big ones you want to pay attention to in the sound tab as well. Other than that, not a whole lot. Obviously, you can toggle auto join for team voice chat if you want, group, all that stuff like that. You can obviously do that preferentially. I keep mine on just in case. I don't use the voice chat really ever in game, especially if I'm queuing solo. If I'm queuing with friends, I'll usually use Skype or Razer comms and stuff like that, but rarely do I communicate via the voice chat in game. I'll pay attention to it when other people communicate, but it's just not my jam. Controls. Now, something I've been doing is I've actually got my custom mouse settings set up in my Corsair. Utilities pretty low anyways, but then I've got my in-game mouse sensitivity drop pretty low as well. In WoW, I like to keep my mouse sensitivity pretty high, but for shooters, definitely a slower mouse sensitivity for sure. It just helps a lot with keeping your crosshairs trained on enemy targets, especially if you're sniping. I find that it's because I play a lot of Genji, and I usually try to bounce back and forth between either Genji and Hanzo or Widowmaker. Just preferred play style. I'll play other stuff, obviously, but that's just like my go-to. Both classes that rely very heavily on precise, want to make sure that you're landing those hits, because it's not like you have a wide margin and you have really a big crosshair. You have very, very petite, very small area where you have to land hits, and so I want to make sure that I'm able to keep those crosshairs trained on the enemy player as best as possible, and so a lower mouse sensitivity is going to help that. That's not new information, but something to consider. Also, in case you were unaware, Overwatch for PC does have controller support. I was talking to a friend the other day and they had no clue. They were like, oh, I can play with a controller? And they just about lost their mind. Yes, it does have controller support, so there's that. Now, this one is probably one of the bigger ones to me in gameplay. And this will probably be right about where the video ends, more or less, over in here. I always skip kill cam. Yeah, I like seeing the kill cams. It's fine. This one, though, the kill feed display. Wonderful feature. Most of these settings are turned to off, more or less, by default. So, when you go into the settings, it'll be on off. I definitely recommend turning the kill feed display on. This gives you a display in the right corner, so over there, of your screen. It's just weird because it's obviously my left side, but right corner of your screen, what it will do is it will display who killed who. Obviously, teammates will be blue, enemies will be red, and so you get a feel for who's dying, who's living, who's landing kills. So obviously, you'll know who's a threat, who's doing very, very well if you're out to like shut people down and like end their kill streaks. But the biggest use for it ever is so you know how many of your teammates you're actually with on the battlefield. If you're trying to go in for a push and then you're a little bit behind, you're like, oh snap, everybody's dead, peace out. Or probably the biggest and most helpful use for people who are doing random skirmish queues. And even if you're queuing with friends, really, that way you don't have to communicate everything. But you can see, like, gives you an idea of when ultimates are ready, things like that, who's dying, when is a good time to pop ultimates, when to rush in, when to not, when to push in, when to wait. It gives you just an overall feel for how the match is going, and sometimes that can be very difficult to do if you don't have that data being, coming in. Like if you're not communicating via voice, this is your best bet to get a feel for how the match is going, in all honesty. Just again, so you know, do we push, do we wait, are we going to play defensively? You know if you're out there all by yourself. And obviously, of course, you have in the social menu all these ones. Open group 2 is a big one. Invite only, everyone, or just friends. Keep mine by invite only. A couple other things I do want to go over real quick in controls that some of you might not know. Some of the more fun settings and important settings as well is down here with the communication tab. And probably the biggest one really is Z, letting people know what your ultimate status is. It literally puts in chat letting them know your character, who you are, and then like what percentage your ultimate is at, which is a big deal. C opens the big old communication menu where you can has a wheel pop up and you can move around with your mouse and decide what you want to send out. Spray is fun. Again, it's obviously not a game-breaking mechanic in any stretch of the imagination, but it's fun in case you're curious. And then, of course, if you want to open up the voice chat, toggle mic mute is M. But probably the most useful one definitely is X and Z. We didn't touch on X. It seems pretty self-explanatory. But Z is the huge one. Z is something I think a lot of people miss, and it can go unappreciated until you start using it and start paying attention to it. Like just knowing where your teammates are at with their ultimate, like where you can set up a really killer like ultimate push if you know where everybody's ultimates are at. And then again, that right there will make or break games. I can't tell you just in the short time span of actually owning Overwatch how many times ultimate pushes have cost us games and won us games on whichever side they're coming from. So being able to communicate that without voice, especially because I know some people just don't have a mic. Some people just don't have a mic, which seems like a foreign concept to me, but I know some people don't. So that's pretty much all I got for this video. Just some helpful stuff in the settings menu that you may have missed, not really realized were there, or never cared to look at. Hoping to be at least a little bit helpful. Definitely going to be wanting to do some Overwatch guides and tips and tricks, kind of like we do with WoW sometimes, while bringing you gameplay content as well, because I'm having so much fun with it. But looking forward to making that. But I figured we would take a sidestep from the typical game content, more or less, like the gameplay, and focus on this stuff just because, again, I find this kind of stuff helpful, so hopefully you do as well. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this video. So please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you did enjoy it. If you want more Overwatch content, if you're looking forward to more WoW content, which is not on the break or anything, but it's just a little bit of a hiatus, just simply because I'm having fun with Overwatch, and I haven't been able to get any games for WoW recently, so it's like might as well just enjoy the new game that's out. Take a little break from WoW, and it is what it is. If we do get into Legion beta, which I doubt we will since it's so close to Legion launch, obviously there'll be content there, but for now, WoW, Hearthstone, and Overwatch. Sounds like a good mix. I enjoy it. They're all games I'm having a lot of fun with. But anyways, guys, I'll finish rambling here and let you get about your day. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.